All right. Joe, this is aimed at you. Have any of Al Gore's predictions from An Inconvenient Truth come true?
I thought the Inconvenient Truth, I had the idea for, like Bill Gray, I thought said it best. Well, I love the movie, and I love The Wizard of Oz, too, right? So it seems like everything he's said, I mean, the Arctic ice cap's still there, right? Isn't it up there? By the way, if you melted the entire Arctic ice cap, what do you think the net result of sea level change would be?
Zero, good man.
Yeah.
Because the ice is floating.
That's real interesting. But then come the feedbacks and all this other stuff that's going on. But, you know, the hurricane thing should have disqualified him right off the bat. He said, and that's what they do. They use the latest as the greatest and then project it forward. And so there's so many different things that he said. I think was it in the UK they did a study on it and found 19 things, and they were using it in school to teach kids. They said, no.
Perhaps I can take up the story, because it was I who initiated the court case against Al Gore's movie in 2007 in the High Court, the Administrative Court, on judicial review of a balmy decision by the then socialist British government, not only to pay full price for 20,000 copies of this leaden, ludicrous film, but then to circulate them to every school in England and require the kids to sit and watch this mawkish sci-fi comedy horror movie. And so a businessman came to me and he said he wanted to stop this. I said, well, you have to do it by way of judicial review, and I will write the scientific testimony in their case, which I did. And then the first lot of lawyers screwed up and we lost the case. So I said, you must fire them, get proper lawyers, and I will instruct them this time. So then the new lawyers said that they could win the case purely on the political arguments. I said, no, you have to do it on the science, or the High Court won't buy it. So they said, no, we're the lawyers, we know best, and they failed too. And they came back with their tails between their legs, and I said, you are to write to the judge in the case and ask him whether he actually watched Gore's movie before saying that innocent schoolchildren could be subjected to it. And so they said, we can't do that. I said, those are the instructions of the person paying for this case. Now get off your wobbly bottoms and do as you're told. So they wrote rather in trepidation to the judge and said, did you actually see the movie before you took a judgment on this? And it turned out that he hadn't. He didn't reply, so I instructed them to write again to the High Court saying, we want another judge who's prepared to do this fairly. And, look at me, we got one. So he then actually heard the case, and I then wrote the scientific testimony. It was put in the name of the late Professor Bob Carter and the still very much alive and kicking Professor Richard Lindzen, perhaps the finest atmospheric physicist the world has ever seen. And so with those two names on it, the moment we handed that in to the other side, they caved in and said, okay, it's a fair cop, how much money would you like? £250,000, we said, and that's what the government had to pay. And they also had to circulate the film with 70 pages of corrective guidance, correcting the various errors in the film, one of which the judge said about the sea level. He said, the Armageddon scenario that Gore depicts is not based on any scientific view.
So one of the criticisms we hear is that people who are expressing a climate change skeptic position are in the pay of fossil fuel companies. On the other side, we hear people asking questions like this. Are there any solutions to the climate change issue that don't give politicians more power and more of people's money? So, two different ways perhaps of expressing that. One side says it's the oil companies, another side says it's big government advocates. What say you?
Unaccountably, my check from ExxonMobil has not arrived this month, or come to think of it, in any previous month. I have received no emolument of any kind from any fossil fuel company. I wish I had. I shall be happy to read out my bank account details, and you can all send me a fat check. I'm very happy to take your cash, but it will not change my opinion on this, which is based, as you, I hope, have seen by now, on straightforward scientific research. That is how science is done, and it doesn't matter even if we were paid by fossil fuel companies. The other side are paid by governments who want to prove the case that global warming is a problem. Are they somehow to be trusted because governments are funding them? That, in my experience, is the last person you'd trust.
Yeah, I don't have any ExxonMobil, but you know, about a year ago, I guess I gave up standing outside the mailbox waiting for my check from the Koch brothers, because they're the ones that are demonized the most. And you know, you've got a classic case, I think, of the other side projecting what is actually going on with them on our side of the issue. It's taken, I mean, the only reason I'm in this is because I love the weather and climate. So I don't get any benefits out of this. As a matter of fact, if you really looked at it logically, the way things are, I mean, Bill Nye was in my house and said, "Joe, do you realize how influential you would be if you came to our side?" I thought I was talking to Lord Vader. Actually, Lord Vader may have been mild. Maybe it was like Lucifer trying to tempt me or something like that. And I said, "Bill," I says, "I'm not out to save the world." See, he's out to save the world, right? So I think most of the money, power, media is on the other side. And, you know, I've been accused of, you know what's going on, but you like your Twitter followers and all that stuff. It's just such nonsense, right? I'm 64. I really don't care.
And as to the solutions that don't involve government, since, as I hope I have demonstrated this evening, this is a non-problem based on an elementary and catastrophic error of physics by those who are demanding solutions, I can tell you the solution: go away, get your science correct. You will therefore find that there is a non-problem, and the correct solution to a non-problem is to have the courage to do nothing.
And with that, I know we had quite a few questions. I apologize to those of you for whom we did not get to your question. I think that our speakers may be around for a few minutes afterwards. We did also have a question about the slides. I'll say that with the permission of the speakers, we will share those through Granite Grok, but the video will certainly be on Granite Grok. With that, thank you very much for your time this evening. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bless you all. How about that?
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
Yes, sir.
I'll say just the business stuff.
Okay.
We're starting it with the bill.
Croc TV.